On September 27, 2023, the Confederation of African Football revealed the host nations of the 36th edition of the Total Energies Men's Africa Cup of Nations, commonly known as AFCON, the biggest football tournament in Africa.
Story here. There they are, the champions of Africa. Côte d'Ivoire on home soil.
The East African countries of Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania took the slot after defeating their main rival Botswana in the bidding, marking the return of the tournament in East Africa after nearly a 50-year absence, and making it the first ever AFCON tournament that will be hosted by 3 countries. Since then, the host nations have been making the necessary adjustments to make sure of their readiness, with just 2 years remaining to the event. The main question that arises from this is what benefits will the 3 countries get by hosting Africa's biggest football competition.
And Muda, and it's a goal this time. It is a goal this time. It is a goal this time.
For better understanding as to why hosting AFCON is such a big deal, we need to first understand the history of the competition. In 1957, the football federations of Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia decided to form the Confederation of African Football, CAF, a football organization that will manage African football. They did this so as they could help grow African football, since most African countries were in the process of gaining independence at the time. And also, they wanted Africa to be involved in the World Cup, since most African countries were unable to participate due to the lack of qualifying matches. Just 2 days after CAF was formed, the first AFCON tournament was held in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, where only the founding CAF members participated, with Egypt winning the first AFCON trophy after defeating Ethiopia 4-0. Since then, the tournament has grown over the years, where now the 54 African countries can get a chance to participate in the tournament through qualifying matches. The number of participants in the tournament expanded from just 3 in 1957 to now 24. Out of the 54 African countries, the country of Egypt has been the most successful in the competition, with the Pharaohs winning the AFCON trophy 7 times. Their last was in 2010, at the peak of their prime, where they had won the 2 previous AFCONs, the 2006 and 2008, making them the first country to win 3 AFCON tournaments consecutively. The second most successful country is Cameroon, that has 5 AFCON trophies to their name. The next one is Ghana, who follow closely with 4 titles. And then there is Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire, who both have 3 titles, with Cote d'Ivoire being the current champions. And then Algeria and DRC, who both have 2 titles. And lastly, Morocco, Tunisia, Senegal, Sudan, Ethiopia, Republic of the Congo, Zambia, and South Africa, who each has 1 title. Just by looking at this map, you can tell that the northern, western, and central parts of the continent have had the most success in the tournament. Meanwhile, in East Africa, it is only Ethiopia that has ever won the tournament. But that was about 63 years ago, in 1962, where Ethiopia won by beating Egypt 4-2 in extra time. For Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, they haven't had too much success in the competition. For example, for Kenya, the Harambee Stars have participated in AFCON only 6 times. But despite this, Kenya has never advanced past the group stage. For Tanzania, Taifa Stars have participated in AFCON only 3 times. And just like Kenya, they have never advanced past the group stage. Uganda, on the other hand, they have participated in the AFCON tournament 7 times. Uganda Cranes were at their prime during the 70s, where they reached the final in the 1978 AFCON, but ended up losing to Ghana 2-0. But since then, the national team has struggled to pass past the group stage. For AFCON 2027, the 3 countries have been making the necessary changes in their national teams to make sure that they perform well in front of the home fans, since they will be the host nations. The 3 national teams already have new coaches, Uganda Cranes being Paul Put, who was Kenya's head coach in 2017-2018, Taifa Stars is Hemed Suleiman, who is a well-known Tanzanian football coach. Harambee Stars is South Africa's own Benny McCarthy, a former Champions League winner and former assistant coach at Man United. The new head coaches were tested in the just concluded CHAN 2024, where all the three national teams managed to finish top in their groups, but faltered in the quarterfinals. The incredible performance at CHAN showed the massive potential that Kenyan, Ugandan and Tanzanian footballers have, and they will use the mistakes of CHAN to make sure they perform better in 2027. The preparations for AFCON 2027 is not only on the teams, but also on infrastructure. When Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania were awarded the hosting rights of both CHAN and AFCON back in 2023, none of their stadiums met the required CAF standards to host any CAF tournament. The poor state of their stadiums required massive renovations and the construction of brand new stadiums. By the start of 2024, the three countries began the construction works. In Tanzania, the government spent about $12 million in renovating their largest stadium, the 60,000-seater Benjamin Mkapa Stadium, and another $15 million in renovating Aman Stadium, which were both used during CHAN. Currently, two brand new 30,000-seater stadiums are under construction, one in Tanzania's capital Dodoma and another one in Arusha, that are expected to be completed in 2026, both having a combined cost of about $247 million. In Uganda, the government spent about $15 million in renovating their main stadium, the Mandela National Stadium, that was used during CHAN. Just like Tanzania, Uganda is also constructing two brand new stadiums, which will each have a capacity of 20,000 and are expected to be completed in 2026, both having a combined cost of about $260 million. For Kenya, the government spent 3.6 billion shillings in renovating Kasarani Stadium, Kenya's current biggest stadium, and 200 million Kenyan shillings in renovating Nyayo Stadium, that were both used during CHAN. According to the Defense Cabinet Secretary, Soipan Tuya, who appeared before the National Assembly's Committee on Sports and Culture in April this year, stated that another 3.1 billion shillings will be used to prepare Kasarani Stadium for AFCON, and 900 million shillings will be used to prepare Nyayo Stadium, much of which will be spent on adding a canopy on the stadium. The Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Eldoret, although it was never used during CHAN, will be one of the venues for AFCON. The government will spend 3.5 billion shillings in renovations and upgrading the stadium that will give it a more desirable look like Nyayo Stadium. Another stadium that will be used for AFCON is the new 60,000-seater Talanta Stadium that is currently under construction. The stadium is being constructed at a price of 44.7 billion shillings. That's about $346 million, and it is expected to be completed by December of this year. According to this estimation, the three countries are expected to spend over $1.1 billion in preparations, much of which will be spent on stadiums, and the rest on hospitality, logistics, security, and training facilities. Now, the way Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania are financing these projects raises questions of the economic impact. According to Google, the three countries are using loan money to finance the projects. For example, Kenya took a bond of 44.8 billion shillings to help in constructing Talanta Stadium. The sad part is that Kenya will repay the bond in excess of 100 billion shillings in interest alone over the 15-year tenure of the bond, the interest rate being 15.0% semi-annually, translating to 3.4 billion shillings every 6 months up to year 2040. For a nation already facing debt problems, this will only exacerbate the debt crisis. The positive side of hosting AFCON 2027, however, is that it will attract people from all over the continent and beyond that will come and enjoy the amenities that the countries have to offer. And not only that, The tournament will give investors confidence in investing in East African football. The events that happened in CHAN, especially in Kenya, where tickets were being sold out in minutes, and millions of Kenyans tuning in to watch Harambee Stars, showed the potential that Kenyan football has. For a very long time, Kenyan football hasn't received the kind of public support that was experienced during CHAN. This was mainly due to the lack of support from previous governments. Although the Ruto government not being popular, it facilitated the CHAN tournament by allowing the event to take place in the country, and the financial incentives that the president offered the players motivated them to play very well. What I believe is that CHAN 2024 was not only the start of preparing for AFCON 2027, but also laid the foundation for growing Kenyan football. Instead of players relying on temporary incentives from the head of state, Kenyan footballers can be able to make a decent living when there is proper leadership in the FKF, massive investments by corporations, and most importantly, a very huge fan base.
I also want to thank the president of Tanzania and the president of Uganda, and the governments and the people of Kenya, the people of Tanzania, and the people of Uganda for what, without a doubt, has been the most successful CHAN in the history of this competition.